What it do? How y'all feeling today? Excuse me. Me, I'm feeling alright. I'm glad I came up with a new idea today, so I was able to put some content out here on here just a few minutes ago. So for those who don't know, I wrote my own book, my autobiography. It's called Grand Journey. Um, I just now came up with that name. Like I've been wrote my book, but I didn't have a name for it, so I didn't ever put a name down. I just would tell people, I wrote my book as my autobiography. I'm still thinking about a name, but I just came up with that, so I could put that in my history books. It'll be called. Like it makes so much sense now that I'm using this name, Grand Journey. My Grand Journey. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it as Grand Journey or My Grand Journey. What y'all think? Should I use My Grand Journey or Grand Journey? I might leave it as Grand Journey. And I got that name from the program that I'm in. I bet y'all. Yeah, we chilling for real. Shout out to all my subscribers, especially the new ones. Rolled to 200 subs. It started yesterday. We got 78 more to go. Can we get there? Who's going to help us get there? I think we could do it. I really do. One thing about my followers and everybody that watch me, y'all know that I'm a realist. You see that shit old. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like that dude that got killed for his chain, man, feel like that's another black man gone to the system. Now they saying his brother had a tracker in the chain. I feel like that yo again. It should be better. It's your thing then. Anyway, that guy that got killed for his chain, he hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. He wasn't smart. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah barakatuh. That man wasn't smart. Y'all hit that like button, hit that like button. I want y'all to go check out my last video I just put up. I read the first chapter of my book that I wrote about my life. It's called Grand Journey. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think. Should I just do them on there, or should I do them or should I do them on the live too? Hit that like button, y'all. Let's see how many likes we can get. We need to get the subscribers up too. Participate in the chat to win some prizes. This is not a joke. We will be giving away prizes. We do shout outs. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to your shirt and your phone is blurry. I haven't. Well, bye bye. I'm sorry, my phone blurry. It ain't blurry on my end. I can see me clearly. Your phone probably need to get upgraded. Ain't nobody else crying about my phone. If you want any music played, put it in the chat. I will play it. If you got any subjects you want to talk about, we can talk about them. And if you just want to hear me, don't post nothing. Come on, y'all. Let's get these subs up. You're so cool. Hit that subscription button. Where were you from? You must don't. Man, hit that subscribe button if you want more content like this. We post new content every day. Let's see what this is about. If you real and you recognize real, I need you to hit that like button. Hit that notification bell too so you can be notified every time I put out something new. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. Make sure you like the video. Y'all have a blessed one. You too, Heaven. Shout out to Heaven, y'all. Everybody hashtag Heaven. I feel like Heaven got the most points right now. Free Spirit got 75 points. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Had experienced significant trauma throughout her childhood and adolescence, which the court recognized as contributing factors to her later actions. Born in 1995, she endured physical abuse as a young child, though the exact extent remains unclear. At age 11, she began wearing hearing aids and certain behavioral patterns, including violent tendencies toward both herself and others.
Excuse me.
She engaged in harm as a teen to others with a scalpel, while sometimes carrying knives during her younger years. These instances of violent behavior would serve as a sign of things to come. At 13 or 14 years old, Groves was referred for mental health assessment and diagnosed with bipolar affective disorder, though this diagnosis was later questioned by medical professionals. She using alcohol and substances
Everybody hit that
intermittently and
subscribe
left
button.
home in her mid-teens, entering a relationship that involved some degree of abuse. Her life took a more stable turn when she met a man named Ashley Wingham, with whom she had a daughter in April 2017 when she was 21 years old. Around the time of her daughter's birth, she was assessed and diagnosed with complex PTSD, though the detailed findings of this diagnosis were not made available to the court. Following her separation from Ashley, Groves moved to a women's refuge before eventually settling in the Havant property. During this period, she began identifying as a goth, cultivating what the court described as a dark and ghoulish humor, a preoccupation with crime, killing, and killers. Groves's bedroom served almost like a shrine to some of history's most notorious killers. The walls featured framed photographs of serial murderers including Myra Hindley, Peter Sutcliffe, aka the Yorkshire Ripper, Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and criminals, including works about the notorious prisoner Charles Bronson. She regularly consumed true
Y'all
crime
know who Charles
documentaries,
Bronson
gaining
was?
what prosecutors
He
argued
was
was
a
detailed
dude that
knowledge about crime.
was he was in England. He's considered the most evil, violent prisoner. He fight guards all the time. Like this dude will literally no homo. He'll butter up, lotion up, and make sure he ain't got nothing on. And he'll get the guards to come in his cell and he'll fight him and they'll be trying to restrain him, but he'll be all slippery. Y'all think I'm lying? Type in Charles Bronson right now. One thing I'm not gonna never do is tell y'all no fabricated stories on here. I don't need to come on here to do that. I could just tell somebody that I'm in with in person. I come on here to tell y'all the truth. You know, I come on here to keep it 100. If I can't keep it nowhere else, if I can't keep it 100, 1,000 nowhere else, I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with y'all, cause y'all gonna keep it 1,000 with me. And that's just how we rock over here on the Made Soldiers Entertainment channel. If you want that fake shit, you might as well go ahead and get off here right now. If you want that realness, this is where you need to be at then. And make sure you subscribe too. Stop wasting time.
Crime scenes, evidence manipulation, and alibi construction. Additionally, Groves maintained an arsenal of weapons in her bedroom that she claimed were for protection, but which prosecutors argued were intended for potential offensive use. Her collection included a Celtic dagger, a ball-bearing gun, several axes, and additional knives. She frequently carried a flick knife in the heel of her boot when leaving the house and Misty Copsey was born in
Teresa
1978 to
Bibbs,
Diana Smith
how
and
you
Buck
doing? How
Copsey,
you
who were
doing?
in the process of separating at the time of her birth. Shortly afterward, her parents
Make sure you
argued
hit
was
that like
detailed
button.
knowledge about crime.
Hit
Additionally,
that like,
Groves maintained an
hit that like
arsenal
button,
of
y'all. Hit
weapons
that
in her
like button. Hit
bedroom
that
that she
subscribe
claimed were
button.
for protection, but which prosecutors argued were intended for potential offensive use.
How
Her
many likes
collection
can we get
included
today?
a
How many
Celtic
subscribes
dagger,
can we
a
get today?
ball-bearing gun,
How many
several axes,
comments can
and
we get
additional
today?
knives. She frequently carried a flick knife in the heel of her boot when leaving the house and kept the Celtic dagger either under her pillow or in a nearby drawer for easy access. Fast forward to early February 22, Groves met Frankie Fitzgerald, a 25-year-old plumber and father of two, during a night out. The relationship was characterized by several concerning elements from its beginning. Both sides engaged in regular and alcohol use, and their relationship was said to have concerning sexual dynamics. They even went as far as to sign a so-called sex contract. In it, the couple agreed that Fitzgerald could awaken Groves through intercourse, but Groves later stated that this was done against her will. Within just 1 month of
Wow.
their relationship beginning, serious problems emerged. In March 2022, following a substance-fueled argument, Groves resumed violent behavior from her teenage years. Fitzgerald, frustrated by their inability to agree and be happy together despite their intense passion, became increasingly jealous and controlling. During this period, Groves engaged in manipulative behavior, falsely telling Fitzgerald and others that she had cancer in order to gain leverage on people as well as receive gifts and money. Medical records later confirmed she never had any such condition, despite attending appointments and undergoing tests. As their relationship deteriorated through spring and early summer 2022, both parties became increasingly jealous and threatening toward each other. Fitzgerald was particularly obsessed with Groves's former boyfriend Declan Payne, who remained in close contact with her. His messages to Groves ranged from expressions of love to menacing threats, including one on May 12th where he threatened to snap Groves in half if she slept with someone else and warned that cancer will be the least of her worries.
Damn.
Around this time, Groves began plotting ways to harm Fitzgerald, discussing with friends various schemes to have him attacked. She also threatened to post explicit videos of their encounters on social media to, quote, ruin his life. The court heard that she was juggling both Fitzgerald and Payne, trying to keep them from meeting while allowing both to visit her house.
This little whore was scandalous as shit. Y'all hear this? She was playing two dudes at once. Now, I ain't gonna lie, she definitely could get it. But all that trying to think you slick playing two guys and then having them think that you would both of them by having them thinking they the only one, that's foul. You should have just kept it 100 with them. Maybe they would have been like, all right, fuck it. Most guys, well, I'm not gonna say most, but a lot of guys, really, they just want to pipe. I'm just being honest. They just want to fuck. They want sex. You know what I'm saying, you don't gotta give them the head, but you definitely got to give them that body. You feel me? If you want that to work, you're gonna have to give them that body. You know what I'm saying not the head because for one, you're not gonna be able to just give them the head and think that's gonna cut it. They're gonna want to smash. But you can definitely let them smash and them not press for no head because you letting them smash. You know, it's like I don't suck it. Even though they probably gonna know like this bitch lying. But they can't press you because you giving them some ass. The fuck take that or nothing. You feel me? And I'm pretty sure you're gonna say, you know what, fuck it. I'll find that somewhere else. But for the most part, you'll be able to run your scheme. I'm saying, see, people don't know. It's a saying they say you can't have your cake and eat it too, and that's what they mean by that. You can't run a scheme and think that you just gonna fucking dictate everything. No, you gotta play the game the way it's supposed to be played. People trying to reinvent the game. You cannot reinvent that.
On the evening of July 16th, 2022, Fitzgerald went to Groves's house while her daughter was staying with her father for the weekend. Joined by Groves's friend, Lauren White, the couple spent the evening drinking beer and using illegal substances, though neither was incapacitated. Fitzgerald was situation escalated when he discovered Payne among Groves's Snapchat contacts at 1:20 a.m. on July 17th. Lauren White, sensing danger, sent a warning message to Vicky Baytup, another friend of Groves, about a likely confrontation. A quarrel ensued, moving to the bedroom, which was no longer being recorded after Groves had removed the camera earlier in July. While favored what appeared to be a conversation with a 13-year-old girl on Facebook. What she failed to notice was that Fitzgerald had immediately blocked the individual upon learning of her claimed age, and that the person was actually 17 years old. Groves photographed this conversation at 3:12 a.m., and this discovery triggered a murderous rage within her. When Fitzgerald went upstairs and fell asleep in bed, Groves retrieved the Celtic dagger she had stored nearby and attacked him. The first wound, delivered to his neck, determined this blow required only moderate force but caused catastrophic damage. The attack didn't end with the fatal throat wound. In what the judge described as a frenzy of violence, Groves continued stabbing Fitzgerald's already chest and heart area. Following the murder, Groves attempted to hide the murder, drawing upon knowledge she had gained from her extensive consumption of true crime content. She made a half-hearted partial attempt to clean the crime scene and wrapped Fitzgerald's body in a blood-saturated duvet placed on bin bags. After the killing, she initially attempted to deceive her friend Vicky by sending two false text messages claiming that Fitzgerald had left the house alive. These messages suggested that their relationship was over and that he had simply walked out on her. Then, approximately 4 hours after the murder, Groves made a video call to Vicky and confessed to the killing. Multiple witnesses described her demeanor during this call as disturbing. She was giggling as she admitted to murdering Fitzgerald anyway, and that authorities would, quote, just assume he has gone off and ended his life. Groves also engaged in fantasy discussions about covering up the crime, including burying the body in her garden and making the death appear to be self-inflicted. She attempted to implicate Lauren White as an accomplice who had helped place bags beneath the body, though she later clarified that White had no involvement in the actual killing. Vicky went on to call authorities, reporting Groves' confession. When officers arrived at the scene, body-worn camera footage showed Groves attempting to portray herself as the victim, claiming that Fitzgerald had tried to attack her. However, her story quickly fell apart when police discovered Fitzgerald's body upstairs. Upon arrest, Groves made little attempt to deny it deserve a blanket in her cell because she had taken a man's life. That what she had done was inhuman, and that she would be extent digital evidence that contradicted Groves's claims of self-defense. Most significantly, investigators recovered the edited video clips that Groves had created from her bedroom camera footage. These edited versions were designed to make consensual BDSM activities appear as supporting her false narrative of being Fitzgerald's victim. The original unedited footage clearly showed that the sexual activities between Groves and Fitzgerald were consensual, undermining her attempts to portray herself as an abuse victim. Investigators also recovered call data, CCTV recordings from other parts of the house, and mobile phone evidence that painted a detailed picture of the events leading up to the murder. The trial took place at Winchester Crown Court, notably the same courthouse where Groves's idol, Rose West, had been convicted of murder in 1995. Groves initially pleaded not guilty and attempted 3 different defenses: self-defense, loss of self-control, and diminished responsibility. All 3 defenses were ultimately rejected by the jury. After a 5-week trial and nearly 18 hours of deliberation over 4 days, the jury unanimously found Groves guilty of murder on February 17th, 2023. Upon hearing the verdict, Groves smiled as she was taken to the cells. On February 22nd, Mr. Justice Kerr sentenced her to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 23 years. The judge described the murder as a crime of passion, telling Groves, "You love the man you killed, and you killed the man you loved. You are not a cold-blooded murderer." He also emphasized that this classification did not diminish the severity of her actions or their consequences. 13-year-old Kamani Latigue lived in a complex family arrangement that would later prove tragically insufficient to protect her. She resided in Ohio, having been in her care for approximately 5 years. However, Dorothy had only obtained formal legal custody about 1 year before the tragic events unfolded. The family structure was biological father, but maintained a relationship with her and was frequently present in her life. Her biological mother, Tiara Caston, lived in Cleveland and had limited contact with her daughter, visiting only twice a year according to court testimony. The terrible sequence of events began on Sunday evening, March 16th, 2025, when Dorothy prepared to leave for her overnight shift at work. Her employment required her to work nights, leaving Kamani alone in the house. This arrangement exploited. According to Dorothy's later statements to police media, she left for work on the evening of March 16th, expecting to return home the following morning to find Kamani preparing for school, as was their normal routine. While Kamani was very young, she displayed a lot of maturity and was trusted to be able to care for herself. The house appeared normal when Dorothy departed for work that evening. The distress. According to Jones's own account, Kamani contacted him, claiming she was afraid to be home alone and believed someone was trying to break into the house. He said, "I came over here because she said that it seemed like somebody was trying to break into the house." This account would later prove to be a carefully constructed lie designed to establish an alibi and explain his presence at the residence. Jones claimed that he responded to the call for help by driving to the Elm Street home with his cousin. According to his version of events, they arrived at the house and stayed for approximately 1 hour, departing around 12:30 a.m. on March 17th. This timeline established Jones as the last known person to see Kamani alive. The reality, as would later be revealed, was far more sinister. Rather than coming to help a frightened child, Jones had orchestrated a plan to abduct and murder Kamani. What actually transpired during the early hours of March 17th would not be fully understood until weeks later when Jones was arrested and interrogated by police. According to court documents, Jones eventually admitted to police that he abducted the girl from Dorothy's house and took her to an abandoned building on Miami Street in East Toledo. In a burned-out abandoned house at 624 Miami Street, Jones subjected Kamani to a series of brutal assaults before ultimately killing her. The Lucas County Coroner's Office would later determine that she died from multiple incised wounds of the neck, effectively ruling that she had been nearly decapitated. The brutality of the crime extended far beyond the fatal injuries. According to Lieutenant Brian Steele, Kamani had been assaulted and her hands had been severed from her body. Steele described the case as one of the most horrific he had ever encountered, stating, "This is a teenager that was murdered, had her hands cut off and her throat almost cut off." After committing these horrific acts, Jones appears to have set fire to the abandoned building in an attempt to destroy evidence. Interestingly, in regard to the arson, Jones had a previous conviction for a similar crime in 2011, when he had been found guilty of fourth-degree felony arson for attempting to set a building on fire using a handheld lighter and flammable liquid. When Dorothy returned home on the morning of March 17th, around 9:40 a.m., she was immediately concerned as the front door to the house was unlocked. Her personal belongings scattered and displaced. Most disturbing to Dorothy was the discovery that the gas stove had been left on. Other than her and I, it's just two dogs in the house. So who cut it on? So that was kind of suspicious, Dorothy later told media outlets. She also found Kamani's personal belongings scattered throughout the house in locations where they would never normally be found. He was not present. Dorothy's fears apartment started what they initially treated as a potential runaway case rather than this decision would later be criticized as it delayed the issuance of an have affected the urgency of the initial response. Police Chief Mike Trendley later explained the department's initial approach. "We had a lot of different stories about a missing teen that may or may not have ran away for different reasons. It did not meet that criteria because at that point there was not any thought of a family kid. Treating the case as a potential runaway situation, investigators began gathering information about Kamani's last known activities and contacts. This investigation quickly led them to Darnell Jones, who emerged as the last person known to have seen the girl alive. As mentioned previously, Jones presented himself as a concerned father figure at the beginning of the investigation. As the case progressed, inconsistencies in Jones's statements began to emerge. Police noted that he provided inconsistent statements about his activities with his daughter and his whereabouts during the critical time frame. These discrepancies gradually shifted investigative focus toward him as a potential suspect. By March 23rd, police had gathered sufficient evidence to obtain an arrest warrant for Darnell Jones on charges of abduction. The worst fears of the community were realized on March 24th when Kamani Connie's body was discovered in an abandoned building. The discovery was made by investigators who had been following leads related to Jones's known associates and locations he had frequented. Following the discovery of the body, police immediately upgraded the charges against Jones from abduction to murder. A murder warrant was issued and the manhunt intensified as law enforcement agencies recognized that they were now pursuing someone who had committed one of the most heinous crimes in recent Toledo history. The very next day, Columbus police located and arrested Jones in the Victorian Village neighborhood. The arrest, however, was not peaceful and resulted in a violent confrontation that left Jones critically injured. Police had been alerted by Toledo authorities to be on the lookout for Jones, and officers had been conducting surveillance in areas where he might be found. According to Sergeant James Fuqua of the Columbus Police Department, officers had been looking for Jones for 2 days after receiving information about his possible presence in the area. The confrontation occurred near Denison Avenue and West 2nd Avenue at approximately 10 a.m. Columbus SWAT officers spotted Jones and attempted to arrest him, but Jones was making statements suggesting he wanted officers to kill him. The situation reached a critical point when Jones reached into his clothing and produced a revolver. According to police accounts, Jones pointed the weapon at officers, prompting one of the SWAT officers to fire multiple shots in self-defense. Jones was struck in the arm, leg, and torso. Despite his injuries, Jones survived the shooting and treatment. Officers were injured during the confrontation. Following his arrest and medical treatment, Jones was held in custody while recovering from his gunshot wound. Become a central focus of community outrage and official investigations. LCCS received reports of alleged physical abuse on 2 documented occasions. The first report was made on December 8, 2023, regarding excessive physical discipline by Dorothy Latigue. The second occurred when 2 separate reports were made on the same day, the same incident of alleged excessive physical discipline. To assess, these included visiting the home and conducting physical sessions, speaking with Kamani alone, interviewing people who knew the family, conducting background checks, and reviewing family records. However, LCCS found no evidence warranting removal of Kamani from the home in either investigation. Significantly, neither she nor Dorothy mentioned Darnell Jones during these investigations, and LCCS had no record of his existence or relationship to the family. Prior to the crime, multiple staff from Kamani's school raised concerns about her welfare, but the extent and follow-up of these reports remain controversial. A teacher from Bennett Venture Academy stated she made multiple calls to child services expressing concerns about visible markings and bruises on Kamani. The teacher described the girl as being fearful of going home and noted that she came to school with injuries. Disturbingly, Kamani had attended 6 different schools during her short life, which some community members believe was a pattern designed to avoid investigation when abuse reports were made. Each time concerns were raised at one school, she would reportedly be enrolled elsewhere. As of July 2025, the case remains in pre-trial proceedings. Darnell Jones remains bound to a wheelchair due to injuries sustained during his arrest. He has reported worsening pain, primarily in he is making progress in his recovery.
I hope he don't recover. Do that to no little girl. Can you watch one more? I ain't gonna lie, this channel, because the rest
Madison
of this
Brooks,
episode,
originally from Covington, Louisiana, was a 19-year-old sophomore at LSU and a member. On the night of January 14th, 2023, Madison decided to spend the evening at Reggie's Bar in Baton Rouge. Reggie's is a well-known location among LSU students, frequently drawing large crowds at night. Almost every weekend night, the bar was crowded with students. There would be loud music blaring and people consuming copious amounts of alcohol. And as As we will soon find out, this location allegedly has a history of not properly identifying those who are underage. On the night in question, the bar was particularly busy. Madison, like many of her peers, was seen drinking and hanging out with friends. Surveillance footage later revealed that Madison had consumed a lot of alcohol during her stay. As the night progressed, it became clear that Madison was incredibly intoxicated. She struggled to stand, fell multiple times, and exhibited signs of severe inebriation. During this time at Reggie's bar, Madison encountered four men who play crucial roles. The initial interactions between Madison and the four men appeared to be pretty normal. According to police interviews, Case and Carver recounted that Madison asked them for a ride home. Carver's account indicated that Madison seemed friendly and outgoing, albeit heavily intoxicated, which may have influenced her decision to seek a ride from people she had just met. The four men agreed to give her a ride home, but the journey took a turn for the worse. As they traveled, Washington and Carter allegedly pressured Madison into having sex with them. Carver, who was driving the vehicle, later told police that although Madison verbally consented to her intoxicated state raised serious concerns. Again, she was incredibly drunk to the point where she was slurring her words. Carver admitted to feeling uncomfortable with the situation but did not intervene. According to the arrest affidavit, the situation escalated when the vehicle stopped and Everett Lee stepped out. During this time, Washington and the unidentified minor allegedly proceeded to Madison in the car. Despite her impaired state, the men continued their actions. After the alleged assault, the men drove Madison to a neighborhood near Pelican Lakes Parkway. It was approximately when they left her alone in a dark and unfamiliar area. This put Madison in a very dangerous. Alone and disoriented, she attempted to navigate her surroundings and find her way home. The area was poorly lit, making it difficult for not only Madison to see, but oncoming traffic was also unable to see her until they got extremely close. Short did not attempt to flee, but instead got out and contacted medical officials. Ultimately, this driver would not be charged. The first steps taken by investigators involved a thorough examination of the roadway. They collected evidence and sought out any potential witnesses who might have seen Madison prior to the accident. Officials spoke with residents in the area and reviewed camera footage that was recorded by nearby properties. After being told by medical officials that Madison was drunk at the time, investigators visited various bars in the area. Eventually, they stumbled upon Reggie's bar, and it's here where they made a breakthrough. The bar's security cameras captured the interactions between Madison and the four men throughout the night. This footage was crucial in establishing the timeline of events and the involvement of the suspects. The footage showed Madison drinking heavily and interacting with the men. It documented her increasing intoxication, her difficulty standing, and the eventual decision to leave the bar with the men. It was also shown that Madison followed the group of men outside, where she was helped into their vehicle. This evidence was later used to highlight that she was in no condition to make safe decisions for herself. In addition to the surveillance footage, investigators interviewed other patrons and staff members of Reggie's bar. Multiple witnesses confirmed interviews with all of them. During the police interrogations, Case and Carver admitted that Madison asked them for a ride home and that she was visibly intoxicated. Recounting, Carver expressed discomfort with the situation but did not. In fact, he was quoted saying that he hated it. In addition to physical evidence and eyewitness accounts, investigators turned to digital forensics to strengthen their case. The analysis of cell phone records revealed text messages and calls exchanged between the suspects. It was also revealed interactions with Madison. Madison's autopsy and toxicology reports confirmed that she had a blood alcohol level of 0.319. This supported the
Don't you freeze up on me.
argument that she was too intoxicated to consent to. The autopsy also revealed injuries consistent with the legal proceedings following Madison's death were very complex, to say the least. The initial charges against the four men included third-degree for Kyvon Washington and the minor, and principal to third-degree for Kason Carver and Everett Lee. As the investigation progressed, a grand jury reviewed the evidence and decided to upgrade the charges against the minor to first-degree. Kyvon Washington also faced first-degree charges after it was revealed that he had a history of alleged assaults. Washington had prior accusations from 2020 and 2020. This next entry is a very distressing case gained widespread media attention due to the horrific nature of the crime and the legal proceeding that followed. John Battaglia, a father of two, imaginable acts by murdering his own daughters, Liberty and Faith, in an act of revenge against his ex-wife, Mary Jean Pearl. John Battaglia was born on August 2nd, 1955, into a family that would profoundly shape his later life. His early years were marred by significant trauma and instability. John's mother committed when he was a child. This event understandably left a deep psychological scar. Additionally, his father was described as violent and abusive. These early experiences of violence and loss likely influenced John's later behavior and relationships. Despite the challenges in his personal life, John managed to achieve academic and professional success. He pursued a career in accounting, which provided him with financial stability and a semblance of normal life. However, beneath this facade of professional success lay a man struggling with deep-seated issues. Colleagues and acquaintances often describe John as intelligent and competent in his work, but his personal life was a stark contrast to his professional demeanor. John's relationship with Mary Pearl began like many others, filled with love, hope, and promise. The couple married and had two daughters, Liberty and Faith. However, it wasn't long before the cracks in their relationship began to show. John's violent tendencies and controlling behavior became increasingly apparent, leading to a strained and abusive marriage. Mary endured significant physical and emotional abuse during their time together, which ultimately led to their separation and divorce. The abuse that Mary suffered at the hands of John was well documented. There were numerous instances of physical violence, threats, and intimidation. Mary's decision to leave her husband was driven by a desire to protect herself and her daughters from his violence. Despite the separation, John continues to attempt to control Mary, instilling fear into her. This ongoing harassment included threatening phone calls, stalking, and more. The separation and subsequent divorce led to a protracted legal battle over custody and visitation rights. John's manipulative and controlling nature was visible throughout these proceedings. Despite his history of violence, he managed to secure visitation rights with his daughters. This decision would later prove to be fatal for Liberty and Faith. The legal system would see major public backlash later down the line due to this decision. On the evening of May 2nd, 2001, a scheduled visitation turned into a night of horror, something straight out of a movie. John Battaglia, in a heinous act of revenge, murdered his daughters Liberty and Faith, who were 9 and 6 respectively. The group was at John's Dallas, Texas apartment. The day began like all other visitation days, a routine mandated by the court despite John's violent history. John's ex-wife and mother of the girls had long been concerned about his erratic and abusive behavior. However, the legal system's inability to fully grasp the danger posed by John led to the unfortunate decision to allow unsupervised visits. John picked up his daughters and took them to his apartment. As the evening progressed, John decided to make a call to Mary. He told Liberty to call her mother and inform her of their activities. The girls were excited to speak with their mother and shared their day. Suddenly, the tone of the call shifted. John ripped the phone from Liberty and calmly taunted Mary, asking her why she wasn't stopping him. At first, Mary didn't understand the question, but after just a few seconds, she realized something was terribly wrong. The phone line remained open as John's voice faded and was replaced by the sounds of gunshots. Mary, on the other end of the line, was forced to listen to her daughter's final moments. She heard their pleas and screams before the line went silent. John had shot both girls in cold blood. The reasoning was to get revenge on his ex-wife and inflict max psychological pain against her. After the murders, John calmly left his apartment as if nothing had happened. He was later found at a nearby tattoo parlor where he was getting a tattoo of two roses symbolized response to the murders was swift. The Dallas Police Department quickly launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the deaths of Liberty and Faith. Officers arrived at the crime scene within minutes of the initial call made by Mary, who reported hearing gunshots while on the phone with her daughters. Upon arriving at John's apartment, police are found in the living room, both having sustained multiple gunshot wounds. Ballistic on. Forensic evidence indicated that both girls had been attacked at close range, with Liberty sustaining 2 wounds to the head and Faith receiving 3. Computer. There were searches for the effect of bullets on the human body, amongst other things. John's defense team filed numerous pretrial motions, arguing that he was not mentally competent to stand trial. They requested extensive psychological evaluations. His attorneys claimed that he was suffering from severe mental his ability to understand the nature of his crime and the legal proceedings. During these hearings, expert witnesses provided conflicting testimonies. Some mental health professionals diagnosed John with serious mental disorders, citing his unpredictable behavior and violent history. However, other experts suggested that John was malingering, deliberately faking symptoms to avoid facing the death penalty. These experts pointed to evidence that John had conducted extensive research on how to manipulate the legal system, including studying past cases of defendants who were declared incompetent. Prosecutors detailed the premeditated nature of the murders, highlighting John's calculated actions and his history of violence against Mary. After a lengthy and emotionally charged trial, the jury found John Battaglia guilty of capital murder. The evidence against him, combined with the testimonies of witnesses, left little doubt about his guilt. The sentencing phase saw further emotional testimony, particularly from Mary, who described the ongoing trauma inflicted by John's actions and the devastating impact of losing her daughters. The jury sentenced John to death, concluding that his crime warranted the ultimate punishment. John's defense team immediately began the appeals process, again arguing that he was not mentally competent to be executed. This led to a series of appeals and legal maneuvers aimed at delaying his execution. However, each appeal ultimately failed. The courts found that John was faking symptoms of mental illness to avoid the death penalty. After years of legal battles and appeals, John Battaglia's execution was scheduled for February 1st, 2018. In the deals, including a claim that the lethal injection drugs used by Texas were expired and could cause undue suffering. These appeals were also rejected by the courts. On the evening of February 1st, 2018, John was transferred to the Huntsville unit, where the execution was to take place. Mary, along with others, was present to observe the execution. As John was prepared for the lethal injection, he left his final words with Mary. He said, "Well, hi, Mary Jean." John then turned to the warden and said, "I'll see y'all later. Bye, go ahead, please." The lethal injection was administered and John was pronounced dead at 9:40 p.m. Hannah Graham was a second-year student at the University of Virginia, known for her academic achievements and vibrant personality. She was born on February 25th, 1996 in Reading, England, and moved to the United States with her family when she was 5 years old. The Graham family settled in Fairfax County, Virginia, where Hannah grew up alongside her younger brother. From a young age, Hannah exhibited a strong aptitude for academics and athletics, participating in various sports, including skiing, cross-country running, and lacrosse. Her academic excellence earned her a place at UVA, where she received a scholarship to study global public health and cognitive science. Her personality and wide range of interests made her a beloved member of the UVA community. She was described by friends and family as intelligent, friendly, and full of life. Known for her quick wit and sense of humor, Hannah easily formed strong connections with those around her. With all this in mind, it made her sudden disappearance all the more shocking. It instantly pulled everyone back into reality. At any moment, in any place, your life can be flipped upside down. The night of September 12th, 2014, Hannah attended an off-campus party with friends. As the evening progressed, she became separated from her group. Her movements throughout Charlottesville. Around 12:45 a.m., Hannah is seen on video at McGrady's Pub on Grady Avenue,
Like the
engaging in
video.
conversation with a man.
Share
She appears
the
to be
video.
intoxicated, which which might have contributed to her disorientation. About 15 minutes later, she is captured on footage at a Shell gas station on Preston Avenue, across the railroad tracks from her apartment and the UVA campus. The video shows her running, then walking, possibly in an attempt to find her way back home. After another 5 minutes, cameras at Sal's Pizza on East Main Street show Hannah being followed by a man who later identifies himself to the police. This man stated that he was concerned for her safety because she seemed distressed. At exactly 1:08 a.m., Hannah and a man with dreadlocks, identified as Jesse Matthew Jr., enter Tempo Restaurant and Bar on 5th Street Southeast. Jesse Matthew Jr. buys alcohol and they spend about 15 minutes together before leaving the establishment. About 10 minutes from then, Hannah sends a text message to her friends saying, "I'm coming to a party, but I'm lost." This was the last known communication from her, and it is unclear whether the message was sent before or after leaving the bar. By the morning of
But yeah,
September
we gonna
14th,
log
when
off
Hannah
real
had
quick
not returned home and missed
and
a
log
planned
back.